When will I be there? I don't know. What will I find there? I ain't certain. What will I get? I ain't equipped to say. But who gives a damn? Who gives a damn? Who gives a damn? We're on our way. There's a coach coming in, and it's flying like a deer. They will roar, there is joy on the way. If they're young or they're old, and are all living home, there's a call coming in today. Some heaven, do we need some hell? Give us hell. We want a saint for Jezebel. Jezebel, Lord, we dig straight down to Hades to kiss the lips of scarlet ladies. Here it is, sweet Lord, here.
How can I wait? Can I wait till tomorrow comes? How can I live till tomorrow comes? How can I make every minute till that shining moment when I'll be seeing him again? I'm gonna die or be old and gray. Why is tomorrow so far away? How can I talk? Can I breathe? Can I eat? What can I do with my hands and my feet? How can I wait? Can I wait till tomorrow comes?
Oh, yippee-yay, we're feeling mighty as a redwood tree. Oh, what a day, oh, what a day, we're feeling mighty as a bumblebee.
There's a whiskey flowing.
Another autumn, so sweet when all is well, but how it haunts you when all is wrong. No romping, rolling, girling, fella stuff, you're the gold.
Oh, fever, Mariah,
Mariah, Mariah, they call the wind Mariah, Mariah, blow my love to me.
why is tomorrow so far away?
When will the sun rise and throw off this day? When will the rainbow wash out all the gray?
How can I wait till tomorrow?
And how's that for Muny magic? Hi, everybody. It's Mike Isaacson, the artistic director and executive producer of the Muny. And I am so happy you are watching this. I'm so happy we can grab some time together. This is a really great chance for us to keep the Muny magic alive during this really challenging period for all of us. And it is so meaningful and powerful to revisit these shows and look at these images and to spend some time with these incredible artists who are part of our Muny family. Last week we did Matilda, and the response was so exciting and so huge and so gratifying. And already we've got people saying that Paint Your Wagon was my favorite show. I want to see it at the Muny again. Oh, a great question for Bobby. So we're going to start. I'm going to bring in some very funny people by the private chats that have been going on this, some of the talents. So let's bring into our producer is Emily Parker. There's our Matt Bogart, the ultimate dude.
Hi, Mike.
Truman boy. Omar, Lopez, Cepero. Mamie, Parris.
Yes.
Oh,
Beautiful people.
beautiful people. Oh my God. All right.
Emily, what's up, people?
All right. Let's go around. I just want to know, where are you and how are you? Matt, let's start with you. Where are you?
I'm great. I'm at home, of course. Isn't everyone?
And where is
I've been spending I live in Westchester County in New York, about 20 miles from where all this great stuff started. But we're having a great time with the boys, my two young boys, Easton and True, and we're just making sure we're getting some homeschooling going, and a lot of exercise.
Amazing. Preston, where are you?
I just have to add before I begin, I used to babysit those two boys. Anyway,
That's
right. Yeah, long time ago.
We took a lot of risks. But, paid it off,
Zero
I guess.
background checks. It worked out perfectly for me. So I am in Cincinnati, Ohio. I am at my in-laws' house, which has been fantastic. We made it. We made the call after my tour was canceled for the moment. We ended up meeting. I met my wife here in Cincinnati with her folks, and we're actually planning on going back to New York this week to try and make some moves, take some control of our lives. So.
Fantastic. That was the Les Mis tour, right?
Les Mis tour, yes.
You're out there Javering, right?
I'm playing Javert right now, yeah.
Cool. All right. Bobby, how are you?
What's up? Oh, I love you guys.
I remember you're in Montana?
I'm in middle of nowhere, Montana right now. That's right.
Wow.
I'll paint your wagon.
We'll go days without seeing another person here. It's very odd, but we're a lucky place to write it all out.
Amazing.
Who's in Montana? What took you to Montana?
My sister's here with me. We're a big skiing family, so we come here every year, and so this seemed like a nice place to escape. And there's still snow on the ground. It's
Wow.
not on a golf course, but close enough.
Mamie.
Hi, I'm in Pennsylvania. We have a house in the Poconos in Pennsylvania, so we've been out here for gosh, it's been about 5 weeks now, almost 6 weeks, and it's great. We've got the mountains out the window and fresh air, and I'm here with my husband and my dog. That's it.
And Omar, where are you?
I'm in Florida.
Nice.
My wife and I was doing the Unsinkable Molly Brown in New York, and once we got the closure, we both decided to do a 14-day quarantine so that we would figure out we were okay. And then we packed up our car and drove down to my parents in Florida. Obviously, our biggest concern was making sure that, we weren't sick or getting our parents sick. So that was obviously our major focus. But it's in all, the scheme of everything, being able to be down here and spend some time with my parents and having a pool and golf course is definitely nice.
Nice.
That sounds nice. I want a pool.
I'm thinking about you, buddy. I'm thinking about you.
Next time. Next quarantine.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh God, seeing that footage again, I had forgotten how epic all of this and how Mamie, you were trapped in the frat house from.
Right.
did.
You were happy.
I did. I was. If I had to be surrounded by a big group of boys, this was the group of boys to be surrounded with. And I did choose to say boys and not men. But I do mean
I'm joking. I'm joking. I love all these guys more than anything. We had such a blast, both in New York and in St. Louis, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was great.
All right, everyone has to, like, I'm sure you did this. Give me a memory, give me a story from this production of, like, what comes to mind, funny, backstage, on stage. I'm going to start with you, Preston.
I'm just going to go with the first thing that came to my mind because I think it's so funny. We teched and did some staging outside in some very hot heat with a lot of sun beating down. And the Muny is very aware of sun protection. And I went and put my hand into a basket of red hats. And I now, anytime I see a MAGA hat or any red hat, will immediately think of that sweat tech day we did on stage. So I saw someone the other day wearing a hat that said "Make red hats wearable again."
Oh no!
So I may have, but, you know, someone back me up with something better. But that's immediately what jumped in head.
No, I'll go with the heat. I mean, for years I've been trying to get out to the Muny and have a Muny experience. And of course, you know, I'm trying to be all paint your wagon cowboy about it. So one of my first day of rehearsals wore jeans and boots. And of course, it's outdoor, right. 90-degree heat. And Josh, the director, and Mamie, and whoever else was there. I think John Marins was there, our book writer, and he. But I was like losing my mind. I felt dizzy. I was forgetting lines, and I was like, "It's okay, I'll shake it off. You know, just give me one more try." And I was like, "What's happening?" And then I looked over at John Marins, and he was like sitting with his head between his knees, wet towel over his head, like probably smelling toast or something, because I think we were just all losing our minds. It was so hot, but I got the Muny experience. Thank you so much.
Full Muny. Bobby, over to you. And
I remember the craziest thing about this experience for me was that I got to jump off the edge of the stage into these new, which was the most rock and roll badass.
Hardcore.
And originally, I was taught by our fight coordinator stunt to do a flip, which I had never known how to do before, and I was terrified by that fact. And then when we got to tech, we realized there wasn't enough room for me to flip, so I just had to land straight and slide to the right. Which was not as epic, but in the grand scheme of things, in the midst of having adrenaline with Matt Bogart trying to save your life and being in the midst of a scene, it was probably the healthier way to go. But it's the greatest. It was one of the greatest things I've ever gotten to do on stage, Mike. So thank you for giving me that opportunity.
Well, we've got one of our listeners who's asking about that, and she says, "How many times was that rehearsed?" And I remember we were all paranoid about it, and you did it once or twice, and you were like, "I got this. Let's move on." You were very chill about it.
Yeah. Please. That's the stuff you dream of. You want to come out from an elevator. You want to fall off a pit. You want to fly. You want to do all the extreme things in theater. And so to kill myself, to kill someone else, it was a show filled with epic proportions.
Mamie, what you got? What's your memory?
I have so many great memories of this show. I loved doing the show, and there are so many funny memories. But the one thing that I always will think of when I think of doing the show was in the second act. There were a couple of scenes. There was one where I came out and made a quick appearance on stage, and we had kind of downstage was the exterior of the tavern. That's what everybody else was seeing, and upstage it was like the inside, and that was just kind of hidden from view. And I had a scene where Omar, where you guys sang that beautiful duet, and
I talked to the trees.
Yeah. I talked to the trees, and I had enough time to leave. I could have left and gone back to my dressing room, but every night I decided to stay on stage, and nobody else was out there with me. And I would just lay on the stage out of view of the audience and just whip all my skirts up because it was a zillion degrees and I had 18 skirts on, and I'd put my feet in the air, and it's my little shoes. And then I would look past the shoes and I could see the stars. And I would just listen to Omar sing so pretty and just look past my feet at the stars. And I was like, the Muny, come on.
Do you have the trees? Were you supposed to get the trees in place, Mike, this year?
This summer. They're coming in this summer.
Oh, okay.
Yay! Oh, that's great. That's right.
In fact, it may be next week they started.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. We're hoping.
Big job, I'm sure.
More trees to talk to.
Omar, what do you got?
Well, I have to say, it's so crazy. The Muny is a 3-week gig, and it's so quick and so fast and furious. In our case, it was 4 weeks because we did workshop some things in New York first. But I have to say, this is one of my favorite experiences I've ever had in the theater. Like, what an incredible group of people, creative and cast, and like a lot of principal players coming together that have had amazing careers, and everyone coming together. It was like we had been together for years, and I mean, we all clicked and meshed together so beautifully. And I literally it's one of the most fun experiences I've ever had on a stage. But I will say the one moment that I always relish, and it's similar to Mamie's, was How Will I Wait? I was in the tents. I would lay in the tents while you guys would sing that song, and I was just like moved like incredibly, and I was like, I have a front row seat, like laying on the stage, like listening to these amazing voices sing this amazing score. It's really an awesome moment.
Yeah, it's funny because I have this. There's always a thing, like opening night is the adrenaline possibility performance, right? Everybody's out there doing it, looking at each other, going, "We're doing this is Right. And then the second performance is always, "We're doing this, we've got this."
Mm-hmm.
And performances 3 to the end are the show and the celebration. And I remember the third performance of Paint Your Wagon, like when Tomorrow Comes, when everybody was on stage and you guys could just breathe and all of you were looking up into the skies.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Beautiful.
So they're in the zone. They have their show. They know what this is on everything. Just that would make, I would literally, if I was backstage, whatever, I'd always go running out front for that moment.
What I thought was so magical of our show with the timing of the Muny was that the sun set at the perfect time for that song.
That's right. Every night. It was great.
Everyone was going out west, and then when it was supposed to be setting and everyone was by their fire and at their tents, the sun had set. It was so magical. It was really
So beautiful.
And on that, I want to take a second to share a moment together that maybe this is something that I have.
How can I wait? Can I wait till tomorrow comes?
Oh.
How can I live till tomorrow?
Yeah, Allan K. Washington.
How can I make every minute fly till that shining moment when I can start my life? Amen. I'm gonna die.
Amen, not amen. Amen.
Why is tomorrow so far away? How can I make every day fly till that shining moment when I can start my life? Till that shining moment, till that shining moment.
When I heal this broken heart of mine, and
So good.
What a beautiful song.
I love this part. I love this next part.
This is Ray Lee, where he's just giving you like full cover.
Yes.
when will the sun rise and grow off this day? When will the rainbow wash out all the gray? How can I wait till tomorrow?
So good.
Yeah, don't breathe. Don't breathe.
Yes.
Standing ovation.
Yes.
Really?
I remember stage for that moment, and I was backstage screaming my head off because I felt like I was on stage.
It was incredible to be a part of.
Oh,
It was.
It also, the other thing, because there's a couple questions people are asking this, right? You know, because we were doing a new version of Paint Your Wagon.
Right.
And here we go. How do we decide what storylines will be different from the movie version? Well, this was a new script by John Marins, who I think is watching. He was going to join us tonight. We couldn't figure out the technology and a laptop and blah, 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 blah. But
We miss you, John.
we miss you, John.
John's the best. He did such a wonderful job with that.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And then, but what was so beautiful every night was, you know, paint your wagon. People sit down and like, oh, what am I here for? And they went into the play every night. Like it was discovery. It was this beautiful discovery.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know where it was going to take them.
Right.
And they were so, it's just such a treasure and John's experience. So.
And that's kind of a new thing, right, Mike? That that the Muny would do something this huge, and it was sort of a new script in a way. And
Yeah.
it was changing. I mean, it changed a lot just a few days before we opened.
That week in New York we had, it was changing all the time.
Yeah. And a lot of people go, well, this is very different from Lee Marvin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hope. Yeah, no, I mean, you know, it's this world we live in because we have all of these gorgeous scores from classic musicals from the 30s, 40s, and 50s, and the books don't necessarily work that well anymore.
Right.
So, I mean, that was Omar, that was the Molly Brown experience. That was just like everyone trying to find a way to give these new life. And it was so thrilling to be a part of it, but everyone got to be so stoic. It was, you know, like, stand up and sing. It's Lerner and Lowe.
I mean, and it's Lerner and Lowe is known obviously for so many great works, obviously, you know, but the fact that this score wasn't really known except for maybe Call the Wind Mariah and, you know, Talk to the Trees maybe, but it really wasn't a really known score. And the fact that we were able to kind of shape it in a new way with the orchestrations, I mean, this is a really beautiful show. And
what is the instrument called where you're buying it in your mouth and you're flicking something?
Blues harp or something like that.
Blues harp?
Something harp.
Oh, the mouth harp?
Yeah.
Like when we saw that,
Jaw harp.
that's ever been involved in any Muny production before. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
Bringing new instruments to the Muny stage.
And to all of that, I think we were able to take such an old story and really take it and make it super relevant and super juicy.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the, I mean, we had some very real conversations in that rehearsal room about, you know, a lot of things that are going on today, you know, socially, and you know, I mean, to the fact that racism is not dead in this country, and to really tackle those super difficult themes and to make them feel new in an old show like that, and then to be able to use this amazing score and this beautiful music to also help tell that story.
Because so many previously disenfranchised groups of people were finally given a voice in this script that John had made. So it's a far more inclusive story where every point of view had its turn in a way that was not given the opportunity back whenever the show premiered.
Yeah, it wasn't a bunch of white guys going out west to find gold.
Yeah.
And that's not historically what it was either. So
that's right. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciated that. That was the thing I think I appreciated most about it, is what was lost, you know, from the original production, was the reality and the genuine stakes that occurred during this time frame that the story is placed in. And I think that's one thing that John did incredibly well. In addition to creating these characters and these situations that are incredibly relevant, it's also just the fact that he reflected the reality of that era, of that day, of, you know, for women, for men, for immigrants, for all the people who were desperately looking for that opportunity for gold. I think it you know, instantly, I think it helps get the audience on your side when they see that real struggle.
Yeah.
I remember the total silence and intensity during the auction scene.
Oh yeah.
That was powerful.
I'll never forget that, you know, because it's so rare in any big musical that you have like such a nice, juicy, hefty book scene. And we had several of those, and they were incredibly well written. And that was one where, you know, it's me talking, just delivering a paragraph on stage in front of thousands of people, and you could hear a pin drop. It was nuts.
Yeah.
So cool.
the other thing in the development of that, if you remember that scene after we did that, I don't know, that preliminary reading, it was John's insight because it wasn't your character's decision. It was Matt's character's decision.
Yep.
And he was like, no, it's got to be hers for this to make any sense.
Right. Let's give the power to the female.
And that allowed the audience to be uncomfortable, but to own it and cheer for you in this weird circumstance. It was really insane.
100%.
It just meant that it was written in such a way where it was so clear, you know, both from the writing and the direction, that we made that choice so clear that there was never any doubt that people would understand where my character was coming from in making that choice. Whereas if you see a choice like that on paper, you know, to decide to auction yourself off in a room full of men, you know, everybody would be like, no, come on, I'm not going to care about this. But when you set it up the way it was, everybody was on my side. It was a lovely, lovely gift.
Well, it's also that thing when an audience watches something like that, they're always asking, I mean, it's always a weird question because we're doing a musical and it's all artificial, but the primary question is this real? And so they were looking at that, and everything that John told was historically true. How this worked, what happened, the fact that women were legally property. I mean, that was the news. And I thought what was so beautiful about what the audience experienced was it was a metaphor for where we are right now. Is this is a country, we're young, we're still figuring it out. We're figuring out how all these different things and ideas and peoples and cultures can somehow be in the same space and operate based on different traditions and stuff. And so that's why I think they, like, the message of it felt so relevant, because it was history that was present, you know, that
absolutely.
You always forget how young this country is.
And to be able to work in that capacity with the writer sitting at the other side of the table, and you know why he wrote these moments and why very certain sentences were so important to him, is because it was based on all of that, what you just said. You know, it's like, this is what she would have thought, and this is what he would have thought, and this was what was happening in the country at this moment in time. So, you know, this was a very, you know, delicate situation. So, yeah.
And someone just posted, and cheer when Kayla stood up for herself and her husband back.
Yeah.
Cheers.
But Matt, you also did such a beautiful job, because we all talked about this. We didn't want sort of a classic cardboard cowboy, right? And this was a man who wanted to do the right thing, but kept struggling with what that was. And then got, you know, he was trying to find a place for his family, but what he caused and what he paid for it, it was just like, it was so, people were so moved by, and I mean,
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. I mean, I think it was very complicated, but I think John did a great job.
Yeah.
Writing that, and, you know, a character that comes in with a lot of history and baggage all on his own, and we all do in our own individual way. And on an individual basis, he was saying all the right things, and trying to act on them in the correct way was difficult for him. And that didn't really come around for him until trying again. And I think that, you know, whether it be an inherent racism, which is within some of us, we try to get over it. We try to find the best in ourselves and to see the best in others and in the best things in our world. That can be difficult sometimes. So we're all just trying to raise the bar and be our best.
I love that we had so many storylines that we could follow that all came together, you know, that had so many different characters that you could care about, and that had a meaningful impact on the story as a whole. And I think elevated everyone's individual story arc and their performances as well. I think that was, for me, such a unique experience, having so many characters telling a story.
Amazing. Mike, I don't know if you know this, but Mamie and I, about a month or two ago, we were invited to Brian Andy's public school 212 in Manhattan, because his class, it's a famous class that he invites Stephen Sondheim and all these amazing writers and musicians and artists. But they asked us, they're studying Lerner and Lowe, and they asked us to come in and sing a couple songs from Paint Your Wagon. And so we did, and the kids gave us
Oh,
a
do you have your
card.
thank you card? Oh,
What?
And this is Mamie and I singing.
oh.
This is our thank you card.
I wish I had mine. Mine is in New York. I wish I had it. They were so sweet and so, I mean, they asked wonderful questions. It was so lovely to revisit Paint
They
Your
were
Wagon.
second graders, is that right?
They were first graders.
First graders.
Oh, yeah, first graders. First graders. Yeah.
And they knew so much about the prairie. They were studying, you know, the whole
Oh, so
gambit
much.
of the whole show, and then they performed for us. It was incredible.
I love how usually every intermission I'd have somebody come up to me and go, that duet the two of them sang. It's like, yeah. Is that from Camelot? You know?
Yeah.
I said, well, it was the first generation of what that was. But, you know, it was always interesting. There was always one person, like, because, you know, it sounded just enough, but not really. And it had a different rhythm to it. I loved that. I love that.
That's funny.
Matt Bogart's whistling skills. Oh my God.
Well,
I mean,
Pristine.
it's hard to whistle loud enough for the Muny.
yeah, it's true.
So true.
Thank God we're mic'd.
All right. I have to say goodbye to you, lovely.
Oh.
Before I go, for all the Muny family who, if you want to really keep in touch with these incredibly talented people, couple things. Bobby just released his first CD out.
Yeah.
If you really want your heart right now, there's a new CD based on a Maury Yeston show called Anything Can Happen in the Theater. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And Mamie Parris sings the merd out of I Want to Go to Hollywood and what's it combined with?
Oh, I don't know. Unusual Way. Oh, what's that compared? That's compared with that's with Shimmy paired up.
Paired up. Oh my Lord! It like I begin my cardio with it. It's so heavy.
Isn't this such a great arrangement? Oh, it's such a great arrangement.
Yeah, Matt Bogart has 2 CDs. My favorite is you do Leonard Bernstein's Mass Simple Song.
Simple song, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Oh, thank you.
Unbelievable. Everyone should do that every day of their life. If you
I do. I sing that song to my kids.
Yeah.
At bedtime.
Aww.
I know they don't know what it means. I mean, most people don't. But but at some point,
yeah. If you
it's
plug
beautiful.
Preston's name on YouTube, right away you get his stars from Les Mis.
Yes.
Yes, knocked down. Go to Omar's website. My favorite is the duet with your wife.
Aww.
Yay, with Ari.
I know. She's special.
So thanks you guys for coming on. I'm going to bring on John.
We love you.
Muny,
Thanks
We
for
love you
having
Love
us.
you guys. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Okay, next we are going to bring on the director and co-director and choreographer, the incredible Josh Rhodes and Lee Wilkins. Are they there?
Here.
Hey! Oh, it's good to see you guys.
So good to see you. We were having so much fun listening to everyone.
I know. It just the heart gets so full.
I know I miss them so much.
I know. All right, tell everybody, where are you? How are you?
We're in New Jersey. We're doing very well, thank you.
Good.
We have a log cabin. These are log walls, and we're living out in the country.
Wow.
We are not in the city.
Okay. And just like all of us, day by day, right? Everyone's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lee chops wood. It's like we're living in Paint Your Wagon.
I'll send out those big boxes of dirt.
We could use them.
Yeah, we could also use some gold right now. Where do you think you can get some of that?
I'll never forget the conference call. I was in Tracy Utzmeyer's office. Tracy Utzmeyer from Muny is the incredibly talented production supervisor who masterfully works with designers and just is extraordinary. And we were listening and you were sharing your ideas for the show and there was this long pause and you go, well, I have this really crazy idea. Is there any way I could get big boxes of dirt on the stage for the show? And there's this pause and Tracy's like, so we just built a $25 million new stage and you want to put dirt all over it? And
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah, Tracy, that's what we got.
yeah. And she's like, okay, we can do that.
And she did.
And she also said yes to Clydesdale horses.
That's the meeting I remember. You were in the room, and somehow you'd missed an email or something, and you sheepishly go, and is there any way we can get horses? And Tracy's like, yeah, we got them. And you were like, what? And we're like, yeah, we got them. And you're like, wait, seriously, we got horses? We have horses?
Yeah, but I was excited about that. But then we found out that they're Clydesdales.
They are.
I freaked out.
And I think we have a picture of our friends. Parker, can we show Ace and Deuce? Do we have that?
Ace and Deuce.
Oh, wait, I'm getting private chat meeting. Nope, never mind. So, well,
Ace and Deuce were the best.
Yes. You know, and Ace and Deuce, they were kind of divas as the performances went on.
Well, of course.
You know, like by performance 7, they were going a little further downstage.
Stealing focus.
Yeah. So, I mean, you and John Marin's the book writer, you really shaped this show. You really, there was an initial production in Seattle. I can't remember that you choreographed 4 or 5 years ago. It's all blur. But then when we talked about doing the Muny, you dove in as director with John. And, you know, people were asking questions about choices and how we did it. So can you talk a little bit about that process and what you and John, what you guys were working for in this production?
Well, it's as everybody knows, scripts take a long time to sort of find their way. And John's always had a very clear vision of the world he wanted to put on stage. And we wanted the music to feel like the two were actually married. And that's the trickiest part of musicals, is making sure the book and the music feel like they were supposed to be together. And as we know, this book is brand new and the music was written a long time ago. So that's a tricky process. And so what we've been doing, I go to John's apartment, we go to diners and we talk and we talk. And we cross out and we say, what about? And John and I have been working on it for a long, long time. And we did 2 readings before the Muny, right? Mm-hmm. We did some table readings where friends are just very kind and come over and read the material for us. And then we did 1 big reading. And then this magical man named Jason DeBoard, who did all of our dance arrangements and all of our sort of incidental music in between scenes for this new script. He came to New York and we worked for a couple weeks.
Intensely for 2 weeks, yeah.
We worked intensely every day, and he wrote and wrote and wrote, and he would listen to John's scenes and he'd say, what if I add music here? And so the show has a sense of drama. And it also has a sense of belonging in this musical world, because people like Ian Eisendrath and August Eriksman and Jason DeBoard worked so tirelessly with John's work for the audience to sit down and go, wait a minute, I thought this was a movie before. And even though it's so different, it feels like, because the music is so strong, it feels like the script and the score all got along together, which was a long process, but that's a big, big undertaking for the writers.
Yeah, it was so, one of my favorite memories was particularly opening night with the audience, because you think Paint Your Wagon, the Muny's grand, you're gonna hear like that classic American musical overture, and here come the trumpets. And it began with a different sound, a different tone, a different feel, that sort of, it wasn't country, but it was American folk country in a Broadway vernacular. And you just felt everyone go, oh, okay, what is this? It literally allowed the audience invited them into, we're going to be doing something different, come with us. It was really, really beautiful.
And you couldn't do it if the original writers weren't masters of song. The lyrics and the tunes are masterful. So you can, if you have a great song, you can have an arranger come in and work some magic. And so the research that Ian and Jason and August did on bluegrass and early Americana and Aaron Copland and all sort of American composers and film scores. What's the films? Oh, they'll kill me that I can't remember. But they based it on what our feeling is now for the West, not for what it would have been in the 50s. What audibly, when we think of the West, what do our ears need? And that's what they delivered on, and that made it such an adventure. And also, it's fun to go to musicals and go somewhere, where you really feel like you go on a journey. That's what music does. It gets in your ear, and you're in another person's head, or you're in another country. And in this place, it took you out west, and man, the music, it's just incredible.
Yeah, but I want to read you a woman, Jennifer Cousins Roca, posted this. She's listening. This show had some of the most spectacular dance scenes. We'll never forget my 7-year-old gasping with wonder as company members twirled all over the stage. And that was
Lee taught them all, because I'm in the other room working on scripts, and Lee teaches all the dances. So that's all on him.
But your choreography was spectacular. Like you saw in the montage, that whole opening to the casino scene, or that gold and all of that. It was just really, really brilliant. And, it's been such an honor and a pleasure to have you over the years and your work, and see your growth, and just how you've learned how to play the Muny stage so beautifully and magically. It's really inspiring to all of us when the two of you are around doing your thing. It's incredible.
Well, thank you. We love it.
It's fun.
We love playing with the big toys.
Ace and deuce.
Ace and deuce.
And 38 feet on each side of center.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually, so when you were working on it, I mean, I get asked that question all the time, and I never feel equipped to ask it, but how much do you really think when you're creating dances for the Muny, how much do you think beyond the normal scope of a stage, or how much does the idea of that space impact movement or what you have the dancers doing?
I would say everything.
Yeah, a lot.
Everything.
Yeah.
I don't think you have any, I don't know, but for me, I don't think you have any dance without composition. And when you give us a stage like that, it changes the composition. It changes we're constantly, when we're in pre-production, going, let's think of something that will sweep well or move well, or for those people who don't know, you can do a dance step under yourself all you want, but the composition is, think of a marching band. They change composition, they change formation over and over again, and it makes the impact of what they're doing on that big field, it makes it very powerful. We have to think about composition a lot as composers, and I think at the Muny, you have to think of composition even more than you would on a Broadway stage where you're crammed into this little space, right?
Yeah, because, each person can only move their arm so much, and it doesn't have as much impact at a stage that is wide as the Muny is. But having 30 people on stage doing something in unison, or creating a shape in of themselves, has a power to it, and it's useful to the Muny, because one person just doesn't look like much out there.
Well, but the thing that always strikes me about I'm interested in your opinion on this. For all of its vastness, when you are sitting in that theater, it's astonishingly intimate. Like that. Sure. That's the conversation I'm always like, I can spot somebody in rehearsal who thinks they're safe. Honesty doesn't matter because it's going to be big and vast and all of this. And I always I actually have done this with a few who will remain nameless. During a break, I'll say, here, come with me for a second. Let's go for a walk. And I'll walk them out on stage and take them right to the lip. And they're like, oh, I'm like, yeah, they're right there. Mm-hmm. You can't fake anything.
And people at the Muny, people in St. Louis listen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think our big, when I learned this lesson the big way was when you asked me to direct Jersey Boys. And I was so nervous about that Act 2 scene at the table. There's a big scene where everything comes down to every character is everything's literally on the table. There's no need for them to walk around. There's no need to move it. It's a brilliantly written, like 9-page scene at the end of the show at a table. And I thought, how the heck are we going to do that at the Muny? And you know what? I couldn't believe it because, I'm from the central Illinois area, so I always stick around to see family. And I watched the show from the back, and I couldn't believe it. You couldn't hear anyone move.
Yeah.
And they all paid attention to that scene. And I learned so much. I was like, you know what? If the characters are real, if the actors are good, the audience will listen.
Yeah.
They want it.
It's really, it's direct. There's no, actually, it's so funny you say Southern Illinois. One of my favorite stories was the first time I called you because we were doing Young Frankenstein. Marcia McIntyre was directing, and I was a huge fan of your work. I'd seen it all, and Marcia said, well, what about Josh Rhodes? I was like, oh God, that'd be a dream. And I was like, well, all right, let me just call him. And I called you, and I'm pitching, and I'm like, the Muny, blah, 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 and I think it'd be really great. I'm like halfway through it, and you're like, Mike, I'm from Southern Illinois. I know the Muny. It's a dream to work there. You got me. I'm in.
Stop pitching.
I'm like, oh, okay, great. Well, the dates are, and here's your ensemble number. And
I always wanted to work there. As a performer, I always wanted to work there, and I never got hired. And so it was awesome when you called me. I was like, well, I'm going to go to the Muny, finally.
Yeah. All right. Now I'm going to bring in for the three of us, probably the most special guest, the one people ask about the most, more than anybody else at the Muny. I'm trying to think, what is the introduction to Chicago? The mistress of the whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, here she is, our beloved company manager, Sue Greenberg. Come on in, Sue.
Yay!
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Sue. Now,
Hi
Sue,
there.
Hi, Sue.
Hi, Sue. We miss you.
Hi. It froze up there for a second, Mike. I didn't hear your question.
where are you and how are you?
I am well. I'm in St. Louis.
Great. And as
Doing
so-
great.
right. Sue, you're freezing up on us. Sue.
Well,
Oh, there you are.
all I see is a lot of spinning, but keep trying.
Story of my life. Now everyone's frozen but us.
Yeah. Is this us?
All right. Are we? Am I freezing up here?
You are good now. You were
Okay.
frozen for a second. Nope, now Sue's back.
Sue's
All
back.
right.
Yeah.
Sue's back. We got it. All right.
Yay.
Sue, what do you want to say to all the members of our community who are out there watching right now?
Well, we are so much looking forward to doing a season. Hoping that it all works out. Talked to a bunch of actors yesterday to tell them about the new schedule, and everybody was happy to hear from us and, thankful that we're going to try and do the abbreviated season.
Yep. Yeah, no, it was really amazing. I don't know if you probably saw it. I mean, I called you, you knew what was going on. But we made the announcement today about, all right, here's our thinking and here's our hopes now and here's the plan and stuff. And it was just amazing, the feedback where people were so thrilled that it might be possible and so encouraging and really,
That's exactly right.
yeah, and I think what's been so hard for all of us who work in this world, in this community, is that it is based on, it doesn't exist unless we're together. I mean, that is this fundamental idea. And we are living at a moment where that can't be. And, I'm sure, you're feeling this and people you're talking to, Sue, it goes fundamentally to the core of everything you've worked a career for, everything you've liked for. It's what you've believed in. And suddenly, the premise is gone for a period of time. And that's, everyone's.
Yeah, that's true. But Yeah, that's true. But even the people, the two shows that had to be postponed for until 2021. I said to the people a year ago is really fast, and you'll be back with us soon. So that I think gave them something to look forward to, even though they were very disappointed.
Yeah. Sue, how many years have you been at the Muny?
A lot, many decades. Many decades. I don't say the year. It's too long ago.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Well, Josh and Lee, thank you so much for joining in on this. We're going to bring in some of the other knuckleheads now from your show.
I can't wait to see them.
Thank you, Mike.
Incredible.
Thank you. Bye, Sue. Bye, Mike.
Bye. Okay.
Bye.
Now, Sue, I think you're staying on, if I'm following this, because you're the star.
Okay.
And we're going to bring in Austin Koo, Ray Lee, Rodney Hicks, and Allan Washington. Are those knuckleheads around?
Hi, guys.
Hey, there's Austin.
Hi. Hey, everyone.
Hi.
Oh,
There's Allan.
Hi.
And then
Hi.
Hey, Sue.
It's Sue. No Rodney yet, but hopefully.
How you doing?
Joining us.
I'm excited to see everyone's hair. Ray's blonde.
I don't know what
Allan's
you're
got
talking about.
long hair.
Hashtag quarantine.
Right here.
Funny.
Yay, we're all together. Okay.
Ray's blonde.
I don't know what
Allan's
you're
got
talking about.
long hair.
There we go.
Hashtag quarantine. Right here.
Hey, everyone.
Yay, we're all together.
Hi.
All right, were you guys able to hear, were you listening earlier when I played that clip of everyone in Tomorrow Comes? Yay, we're all together. Just magic.
Yes, so beautiful.
So,
there we
were you
go.
guys able to hear, were you listening earlier when I played that clip of
I'm getting some like playback or something.
Yeah.
I think someone's echoing.
Just magic. Rodney, the screen. I think that worked. Is that better?
Yep.
Yes.
There we go.
So much better.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Emily Parker.
Yeah.
So let's go around. Let's start with Rodney and just tell us where you are and how you're doing.
Okay, I am in Denver, Colorado, and I'm doing great.
Let's go around. Let's start with Rodney. Allan, where you are and how you doing.
Hi, I am in New York City, and I am taking it day by day, but I'm doing really good, and it's so nice to hear all of you and see
There we
all
go.
of you right now.
Great. Austin.
Hi, I am in New York City. I'm doing good. It's quarantined and quiet over here.
Yeah. And Ray, you've actually been very public. You've been sharing with everybody on Facebook. You've got COVID. You've been going through it. How are you? How are you feeling? We've all been with you on this.
Oh, thanks, Mike. Everyone's been so wonderful. I'm upstate in Saugerties, and I want to say confidently I'm on my last wave of symptoms. So I'm lucky not to have had to go to the hospital and just have ended here. So I'm very, very grateful.
That's fantastic. And your videos with your daughter, the makeup tutorials, I'm done. They're the greatest thing.
I have to
They're
find ways to
amazing.
homeschool. So we watch Drag Race, and she just does what she wants to my face.
Best father ever.
And we're all going to end up working for her. I mean, it's just clear. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
If I can end up in Hawaii in a retirement home, she can do what she needs to. So.
And let's take a moment. Hey, Austin, you did a beautiful job on the song
Oh.
90th last night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. That was so cool.
Just fantastic. All right. Well, let's go around. I'm going to start with you, Allan. Share a memory of Paint Your Wagon. Anything you want.
Oh man, a memory. The first thing that's actually coming to my mind is wearing those cold rags around our necks and doing that first sort of like blocking rehearsal on the stage. And that was my first time at the Muny, so it was my first time seeing just how ginormous it is. And I was just so excited. And it just felt like a mix of like the most amazing professional summer camp I've ever been a part of with those rags. It was amazing.
Rodney, you're next.
You know, oh man, just I think really every single day with this company and getting to know everyone, not just in show mode, but also personally, you know, and then being able to translate that energy that friend energy that we all just really naturally had together. We translated that into a no holds barred performance together, because you know the show is so intense and racy, no pun intended, and it allowed us, the comfortability that we all had with one another allowed us to go to those places so organically and raw. And then we all met up after, you know, and we're in the pool and just really loved on each other, and it was just beautiful, like every single day. Yeah.
Austin.
Oh, the memory that comes to my mind is the Clydesdales coming out for the first time. And I grew up in St. Louis, although I haven't lived there in a long time. But I remember, you know, riding horses for sixth grade camp, going to like Grant's farm, and you know, seeing the little Clydesdales and stuff. And so coming back to do a show at the Muny and being on stage and seeing the horses come out. I mean, where else can that happen? Where else can you see that? It was amazing.
Ray.
Oh my gosh, I think it was, I would get to my cues early when I went to the basement and sat on the dirt that was made of like old tire rubber.
Love the dirt.
Yeah, and I would listen to the orchestra, listen to Omar and Maya singing, and look at the stars and be like, I can't believe I'm here, this is amazing. And then, you know, get ready for my cue. But it was my favorite moment, one of my favorite moments in the show.
Yeah, I mean, you can make a joke about it with the stars and stuff, but there was the world of the Muny met that show so beautifully.
Yeah,
so beautifully.
Yeah, so beautifully.
You felt you were in such a special place. And what I remember, it's interesting you say, Rodney, about all of you as a group, because we were fortunate. We had some other producers involved, so we had some extra rehearsal time and all of that. But I remember on opening night, I mean, in the video montage, the whole thing with the turntable, and that song about going forward. And you guys,
how can I wait? Yeah.
One. I was, wow, they are just, we are who we are. Here's our show. Here we go. You know,
as the sun is setting in the outdoors and the stars came out, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's priceless. Yeah.
Now, while Sue's here, we want to check. Did everyone have what they need? Were your rooms okay? Who did it like?
Okay, honey, those rooms were everything.
They were, I honestly still talk about those rooms, if I'm being honest. I did like several regional productions after this, and it's like by far the best.
Yes.
And if it was raining, there's a movie theater. So you're like, oh, I guess I'll have to go to the movie today.
Yes.
And like watch something. Yeah. It was
and the movie theater was across from the pool. Yeah.
The pool.
Well, Sue, they're full of gratitude for you.
Yes, Sue. Thank you so much.
She's
oh my
frozen.
God.
I'm so happy.
There we go.
Oh, she's frozen again. All right.
Oh, Sue.
We feel your love, Sue. We feel it.
The air conditioning, yes, that helped. I mean, my memory was like opening night. Maybe the first two performances were warm, but then it kind of cooled down, right? Or do I have that wrong? I don't remember that show as being a particularly like hot one.
No, it wasn't too bad.
No, it actually wasn't. I mean,
the
rehearsals were hot, but
rehearsals were very hot. But yeah, our performances were fine, especially because the sun went down like towards the beginning of the show, so it made it a lot cooler.
Yeah.
You know what was cool? The that epic run across the entire stage. It really felt like we were in a movie all of a sudden.
It did.
It was
did.
like, and
it's
it
like
was
studio
like
live.
sound stage. It was like kind of epically awesome.
Yeah, that was very, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what you all created, and you know, everyone backstage, the designers, Josh and Lee, it was epic, but it was personal, which is the hardest thing to create. You know, to go there and you got the bigger idea, the social idea, the political idea, and it was always grounded and so personal and so meaningful. And Austin, I remember, it just was incredible every night in the silence and everybody listening. It was just unusual. What's everybody's favorite musical memory?
From the show in particular?
Yeah.
I love the
singing "How Can I Wait" for me.
Yeah, very much so.
I have to give Mamie Parris a shout out too. And during Whoop-de-ay, when she is singing and then being flipped and then running around dancing and still sounding glorious, I remember being like, I wish I could do that. And the ensemble just kicking butt with their moves.
Oh, that ensemble.
Yes.
That ensemble.
Nailed it.
Yep.
Yes. That opening was pretty epically incredible. And how Josh and Lee, like Josh, what he brought out of all of us, even in that big stage, for us to just still play the honesty, and it was just, you could look to your left and right, and every last person was in it. Like every last person was just in it to own it and win it. And it was just an amazing 2 weeks. Yeah.
And one of the most racially forward-thinking shows I think I've ever done in my career, which I'm so grateful for, the Muny and the whole team, because we played three-dimensional characters and not stereotypes. So I was, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Shout out to John Marin for
thank you,
updating
John.
the script with Josh's help, obviously, of course.
And Bonnie.
Bonnie.
And Bonnie, of course.
Bonnie
Pantson. All bow for Bonnie Pantson. If you're going to have Clydesdales, you don't do them unless you have Bonnie Pantson.
That's right.
Those horses were not going to mess around when Bonnie Pantson is the stage manager. They're going to do what they're told. But I think what was so powerful about the political was it was honest and it was all grounded in this communal desire. In that fundamental idea, everybody was yearning. Everybody was trying for something. And then there were all the political ramifications. But you never lost, as an audience member, you never lost your passion or love for hoping that person gets what they're desiring. But you can connect with everybody on that, and
I think.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I think that's why How Can I Wait is such like a pivotal moment in the show, because it's all of the different subplot characters, like all having their moment to say, I want. That's the yearning moment for all of the characters in the show.
Just visually, like all of us, different colors, different sizes, different shapes and ages, singing that, I think is such a powerful image.
And the lighting on those tents was unbelievable. The way that thing would turn to the musical segues was unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right. I'm being told by Parker that we have reached our 60 minutes. I'm so grateful to all of you for taking time. And
thank you,
family. I'm so happy that you're all well. Congratulations on the Soft Power CD.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's fantastic. If you haven't listened to it, listen to it. I spent a day just listening to cast recordings, and that was one of the first ones. So y'all killed it. Raymond, Austin.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
Sue, I don't know if you can hear this, but Megan Larch Dominic is torturing me because she posted a question we haven't answered. If we could
Megan!
Sue, how many umbrellas do you keep in your arms?
I think it had to do with umbrellas. The question was, how many umbrellas? The answer is thousands.
Thousands. The answer is thousands, Megan Larch Dominic. There. All right. Thank you so much, beloved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay safe, stay healthy. We're going to get through this.
Yes.
Yes.
And to everybody from the Muny family around the country who's been in St. Louis, who's been watching, we are so grateful. We are so grateful for your responses today to our announcement. If we can give you a show, we're going to give you a show. And thanks for joining us, and be safe. And every day wake up and just say, meet me at the Muny. All right. Thanks, everybody.